bit foul. Good afternoon. I hope everybody had the most fantastic of holidays. I am Mr. Brad Chester, the healthiest man in 40K, feeling fantastic. And I have Sean, Dice with Rice. He does ricey dice things that make him dice with rice. And that's why it's fantastic. So, did you get anything good? Did you do anything fantastic over the holidays, my friend?
I did. I managed to do 5 different Christmases in 2 days.
I bring this up because I called Sean, and I'm pretty sure that Kelsey's somewhere within ear's reach. Your plans are terrible, Kelsey. They're just bad.
Yeah, that's the holidays.
No, it's not. It's your holiday. You got to imagine Brad saying "Go Blue" yesterday. I did say "Go Blue" though because my team's no longer is not in the playoffs, and I only watch ice skating now because of the state looking terrible. But let's talk about setting expectations. This one's definitely all Sean. I definitely didn't push this. So.
Yeah, we're getting our first fully Brad developed deal with it. This is going to be awesome.
Well, Dixon with a $2 super chat. My New Year's resolution: defeat Brad on camera. I like that you didn't say defeat me in anything specific. Just defeat me. Oh, dude, this is the worst every. So, like, as I was getting ready for New Year's Eve, I went to trim up my beard right before I was walking out the door, and I accidentally took off the attachment as I was doing up the neck. And then I just shaved right down the middle and made myself look like a child. And then I decided to be slightly sick, so now I have puffy baby face and I am 12. So, let's go with our first slide. It's hella awful, by the way. I'm mad at myself, Kyle. This is the worst. It is the worst. Let's talk about expectations of 40K. It's a big deal for me because you have to understand what you're trying to do. A lot of people want something that they're not trying to do, or they don't enjoy trying to do something. So you have to really, really remember. Yeah, I love it. My beard is 5 inches long just so I can be your friend again. And you know what? I appreciate you. And you are. Baby boy Brad hype. Yeah, this sucks. Yeah, my wife was also very supportive. I walked downstairs and she just went gross. And I was like, thank you. Appreciate you. So let's talk about what our expectations should be. And like, not about my horrible lack of beard. I am focused. I'm like, oh, I'm making it grow faster and faster by flexing my face to push the beard out as fast as humanly possible.
Yeah, let's get into it. So there are a lot of different things you can expect out of your 40K experience. And some examples of that are, obviously having a good time. Everyone wants to have a good time when they play 40K, of course. You want to, be a painter. You want to be praised for your great paint jobs. You want to hang out. You want to learn, improve. Brad often likes to experience the city a little bit.
100%. That's a huge deal for me is when we go to new places. I travel a lot. I've been to Europe a lot. I've been to a lot of different places. I actually pick my tournaments a lot of times by have I not really got to do anything in the city before? Also, who's going to this tournament? Where we can hang out. And the thing is that we put this in an order. I really think this is the order that you should be looking at. Because at the end of the game or the tournament, winning should be at the bottom. You can practice and focus. I'm not trying to lose. We're talking about LVO. We're practicing. We're getting ready. We're looking at team tournaments. We have a practice schedule. We're serious about playing. But in the end, if you're not having a good time with your toys, you're just not doing it right. I'm sorry, but you have to figure out what do you want to do while you're here. And the thing is you can expect to have several of these things on this list, but if you're coming with your best painted stuff as opposed to maybe your best meta thing stuff, you're going to have different expectations. Are you are you going for a time of your life? I had the time of my life. I'm going to pick Sean up over my head. It's going to be amazing. And, but,
Exactly.
but like, you got to figure out what you're going for, and then you can really not be disappointed. But it's not even just about not being disappointed. It's about having the best time and achieving the most things that you can. I really think it's one of the biggest things is learning and improving. You should be doing all the time. And learning and improving doesn't mean just the game, everyone. Learning and improving means, hey, I'm a little bit better about not being tilted. Hey, I had a good time no matter what. Hey, with asking all the questions, the things we talk about doing all the time, I made somebody that was a little aggressive still have a great game with me. That's learning and improving. That doesn't mean you had to win that game.
Yeah, I mean, the real dose of it here is for anybody watching that's like, oh, they're just telling us to have a good time. You will play better when you are having a good time. That is just a fact. If you are miserable, you're going to miss things. You are going to struggle in places where you otherwise wouldn't have. And it's just going to ruin your experience. Because when you play bad, you start losing. When you lose, you don't feel good. It makes you play worse. You're just going to spiral out of control. So when we set your expectations at, I am trying to have a good time with whatever I'm taking, that is extremely important for being able to play this game.
And it's a big thing. We're going to talk about effectively making more of these things work together with you. So I love the Tau battle plan one, by the way. Every time I looked at this, it makes me crack up. There's nothing wrong with playing for any of these, but you need to figure out what it is that gives you the most joy. Are you really looking to win? Well, then you have to practice and get ready for it. You're going to be forced to take certain things. Are you just looking to show off your paint skills? Well, then show off your paint skills. You know what I mean? And be the best at that painting that you can be, but also bring the best stuff that you have that gives you the best opportunity to do well in the tournament. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that go into this. So one of the things we have to start with, I guess the first thing we have to start with is your list. What you got to figure out what I'm trying to do, and when you figure that out, then we have to go to your list, and your list is going to be one of a few different things there. And if you're not bringing that, you can't expect to do the best. If you're not bringing the meta list, you're not going to be at the pinnacle, and you're going to have to deal with other people bringing that. So you either have to have counters or you have to have different expectations about what you're trying to do.
That's exactly right. And these are three broad categories you could fall into. And really, if you're going to start with your list, if you maybe don't know where you're sitting right now, just take a look at these. So meta, for example, it literally stands for the most effective tool available. It is you are bringing the stuff that is usually the cheapest, that does the most damage, and scores the most points. You're going to take advantage of some unfair rules. You're going to take advantage of some great, powerful strategies. And you are trying to win when you bring this kind of list to a tournament.
Go for it. Keep it going. You got that good
Sure.
energy.
So you have Meta Plus is the next kind of category. Now, this is for people who, there's going to be a catchphrase for this later on, so I'm not going to spoil it. But basically, you are still taking your very powerful, efficient data sheets, still using powerful rules and synergies, but usually you're twisting them slightly. And you'll really see that in some of the lists that we're going to go over. Usually these lists are designed to beat meta lists, and they are developed because someone's like, hey, I love doing this thing. I want to have a good time. I want to play my best. I hate this meta list. I hate it with a passion. I'm just not playing it. Instead, what I'm going to do is, figure out how to beat it. And then I'm going to play exactly the way I want to play while knowing exactly what I'm supposed to do in the matchups that otherwise would be challenging.
And it's a big deal in this because a lot of times what you're doing is you're taking a variation of the meta list and you're going after it, but you're doing it in your style. And a lot of times slightly off meta, and we call that off meta list at that point in time, a lot of times they will give you a better chance at continuing on if you're a master at that list, that faction. because you give people something that they're not automatically muscle memory remembering to do. You know what I mean? So if you're playing against a super, super strong meta list, you do, however, know how to play against it. You know what I mean? Oh, you're always bringing all the trash, my friends. It's
Every
Dan.
time. Brad is the trash man. That is still his name. Oh, and another point I didn't put on here, but Brad and I talked about the Meta Plus lists often just turn into the meta list because someone just plays it, beats people repeatedly with it, and suddenly everybody's like, "All right, maybe I should just play that instead." You
100%.
know, or you find out some niche strategy, and now that everybody understands what it does, it's not so Meta Plus anymore.
In my favorite, fun and value, because you're going with a certain thing. You're looking to do some flair. You're literally looking for, I'm going to go to the next slide for this because it's really big on this, because I paid $700 to travel and play this weekend, which is apparently a great price that Sean keeps getting. I'm going to enjoy it. No one's going to tell me otherwise. Playing your best is fine. Winning is nice, but rolling dice, having some drinks with your friends is the key to the inner universe and having your chi full, not half full, my friends, full. That is where the jam goes, baby.
That's exactly right. This is definitely the Brad and I often talk about this as we do play more meta lists often, but this is where all the fun is. This is why Brad brings around his unicorn basket. This is why Brad sometimes dresses crazy and you never know what you're going to get, because these are the players that make up the most like vibrant part of our hobby. And they're just such a good time.
It's a big deal because if it was only made of meta people, and there's nothing wrong with that. I bring meta stit all the time. But man, in the end, we're playing with toys. You should be having a great time. And people that bring the swag and bring the fun are fantastic for the hobby. So I love it. So let's go back to number 1 and 2, because meta is the easiest as far as if you're practicing, you're putting in those reps. Meta Plus is almost the meta breaker, is kind of what I like to call it sometimes, because you're bringing the best shit. You're just bringing the best shit with a bonus of a new trick, a new thing, something that's your style. Maybe you just like certain units. It actually, fun and value actually comes into Meta Plus quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Naden does Naden shit, but like he does it also a lot of times because he just spent a shit ton of hours painting X unit, and I don't care. That's going in my army. You know what I mean? So you see a lot of people do that, where they're just like, hey, I spent a lot of time doing this. It's going in my army. Am I trying to win this tournament? Yes. I'm still trying my best. I'm practicing. I'm doing everything. And I have a 85% crush meta list, and I have 15% of my own personal swag. And sometimes that works. I mean, sometimes it just does, to be honest.
Well, I think that's what really makes this game different than other games is, and why I said right away that if we were all just playing whatever meta was and that was the only option, the game wouldn't be that fun. And the reason for that is all of the meta breaking things, all of the changing landscape of the game is done in Meta Plus fun and value. If you are just taking whatever, Manny Chima took to the World Championships and playing it over and over again, and that's all you played all day, the game would not be particularly fun. Like, if you want that same experience, just go play chess or something. I'm looking for a little bit more variance. I'm looking for a little bit more flair. I'm looking for crazy models. I'm looking for more out of my hobby than just a chess match.
100%. Because it gives you mojo on that. And let's go into meta expectations on this, because if you're bringing the meta list, you have to understand that you're playing a certain way. You have to have a certain thing, because if you want the meta list, you have to have those models. You have to be able to change on a dime, to be perfectly honest with you. You have to know how the combos work. I see people doing this all the time. I have nothing wrong with, my intro is literally me driving the bandwagon. So, I am not against this at all, but you have to know why the meta list works. I see people all the time, they pick up the top tier list. This is what everybody's winning with CSM. This is what the old Tau list was. But you'd have to know why it works, which means you have to understand inside and out all of the combos that go with it, which means you're also going to have to put in a very big amount of time. to get that thing going. If you want to beat other people with that meta list, because you can smash, especially right now we've got a pretty decent meta with most of the armies. OKR, your custos are still terrible, but they're very, very good. You don't have as much of a discrepancy and a dichotomy that we used to have of the haves and have-nots. So, but there's still armies that are much better than other armies. Let's be honest with you. You know what I mean? If you're playing CSM against a lot of other things, you're going to have a huge advantage, but you're only going to have a huge advantage if you know exactly how to use it, especially if you're playing other CSMs, other Eldars. You know, that's a big, big thing on that. So you have to be boring in your practice. You have to be practicing with the list all the time. You have to be okay with the fact that you're constantly changing to whatever the meta list is. Every data slate, every FAQ, you have to be on a dime, ready to change, and that's fine. So, and the thing is that I love to use Vic VJ on this. I've said the same shit a couple times. I mean, we were just talking about Sean. I've done it with Orks and everything else. Sometimes just playing meta becomes a drag, and when toy soldiers becomes a drag, I don't care how competitive you are, you got to have fun. You know what I mean? It's just not worth it to. Anytime you're not having fun with toy soldiers, you have to adapt. And the thing is that if winning is your jam, then you have to deal with this. But the thing is you can win without just doing that. Let's talk about Meta Plus, because I think this is the best spot to be in personally, as far as someone that's trying to reach the top of. You're looking to win an LVO. You're looking to consistently win at GTs. I think Meta Plus a lot of times gives you the best access to playing things that are at the top, but also giving you a little bit of flex room, a little bit of style points, being more comfortable playing the things that give you joy in the game, the units that you play, and things of that nature. I think that it'll make you practice more, you know, because you enjoy practicing. It's a big deal in that, you know what I mean? So I think this is probably the sweet spot. It's very hard to maintain, to be perfectly honest with you, of being happy and fun with your army. If you got multiple armies, to be perfectly honest, don't be afraid to bounce. People talk shit to you, but I enjoy bouncing factions because I'm a small child with a child's attention span, so I need something new and shiny at all times.
I mean, I'm right there with you. I know a lot of good players are there as well. We have 4 or 5 armies that we're just gonna bounce around to. As it's well known, I have several armies. I play a different one at every RTT usually, unless work or something gets in the way where I just don't have time to move it off my tray. So I think you can bounce between meta and meta plus and really enjoy this game, because when the meta list becomes stale or you find out you really aren't enjoying it, the easiest thing to do is just say, cool, I'm going to remove that from my list and I'm going to find something I do enjoy and that still works with what I want to be doing. And that's exactly what Meta Plus is for. But if you are coming in with the expectation of, sweet, I'm going to change a few units around in this meta list and now I'm going to crush everyone, yeah, that's not how it's going to work.
No, that's a big thing. Austin made a good couple comments, and so did a couple of the other guys, where there's nothing wrong with net listing. You just have to understand why the net list works. That's you got to go back into, and that's why I like Meta Plus, because it's not even just because of that. I think that Meta Plus most of the time is the meta list with I've practiced enough to know what works for me, and that's what makes it a better list a lot of times. Maybe sometimes it's not, but I'm saying, like, a lot of times that just extra time that you spent making that yours a lot of times makes it the army. Carmona's Chaos Army is different than a lot of people's on it, and he's done fantastic with it, but it's his jam. You know what I mean? Sean, the couple lists we've been working on are just slightly different on that. So
I'm a special snowflake with all of my random nonsense, and that is okay. That is, obviously, I've gotten here where I'm sitting with Mr. Bradchester talking about stuff constantly. So if you love doing that, it can work for you. You just have to put in basically the work to get it there. And before we go on, I do want to say for net listing, there's nothing wrong with playing good units. Sometimes that's all you're given. looking at you, World Eaters, where everyone's list is pretty much a few units from each other. That's not your fault for just being like, well, I guess I'm playing the good stuff now. Sometimes that's just part of the game. If you're only given a set amount of tools, probably should use those. I mean, that's probably a lot of common sense for some people, but other people just go, "Ah, cool. Well, you're just bringing, you have 3 night spinners in your list, so I guess you just don't want to have fun." That's not exactly how it works. Sometimes you're just given what you're given.
But kind of.
Yeah. Brad, if you've been watching this channel, Brad and I we're over night spinners, and we only got a few more weeks, baby.
Let's talk about the fun and value, because it's fantastic. You have to accept the fact that the meta list might steamroll you if you're just bringing your best painted, I want to have a great time list. And that's okay, man. Like, even when you're playing your meta list, you're going to lose a game. Most tournaments have one undefeated, so everybody loses except for one guy. So that's a big deal. In some tournaments, they still have a loss, you have to figure out what gives you that joy, man. Have you been painting a big model for 50 hours and you want to put it on the board? Put the goddamn big model on the board. The rule of cool always applies. Also, don't play, and this is another thing why fun and value is always fantastic. Don't play army archetypes that you fucking hate. This blows my mind when I see somebody do this. You're like, I was told that this is the list. You're like, well, what do you like to do? I like to play assault armies and really rock the fight phase. And what are you playing? I'm playing Tau because I was told it was the best army. And you're like, are you having any fun whatsoever? You're like, none, zero. It's terrible. And I also lost a couple games. So like, I'm having no fun, and I'm playing, and I've lost a couple games. That's the worst. Just the worst.
Yeah, Brett and I both have experienced that with other people coming to us. Just don't do that. I mean, if it hurts when you do that, don't do that.
Oh, please. Duh. It's just, in the end, you're also going to get very little out of it, because if you don't like what you're playing, you don't want to analyze it. You don't want to talk about it. You don't want to put the practice games in and stuff like that, because you're not having fun. So why the fuck would you do it? You know what I mean? So like, seriously, it's just a big deal about this is play things that bring you joy. And if you have a fun, you want to bring some wacky shit, we'll see what I'm bringing this weekend. And I am not expecting to crush with this, but I want to have a great time. I wanted to see some certain shit. Plus, also, I got cyber bullied by Lyle.
And this also works the reverse way, too. If this is going to be a little different for some people, but if you really value winning and learning to make the correct decision, and that is where you find the passion, you cannot just take your Stampa. Like, Stampas are awesome. Stampas are just lottery machines where sometimes you input a value and you kill their whole army, and other times you spend the whole game and it doesn't kill a model. And that's just how Stampas work. So if you are uncomfortable losing, you need to change your expectations of what your list needs to look like. Basically, what I'm saying is, yes, if you include a Stomp in your Orc list, you're probably not going to win very many games. If you include Outriders, like Primaris Outriders in your Space Marine list, if bikes are your thing, you are not going to win very many games. And you cannot bring those to the table and be like, I'm trying my best, I'm working so hard, but I brought Outriders and I just lost every game.
I kind of want to take that challenge, but I'm still reeling from this Eldar weekend challenge, so
we'll see how this goes first.
Yeah. Also, they're bad. Oh, pause. We call it the KR time. Please like and subscribe. We're right now streaming on Dice with Rice and Death or Glory. It helps a ton if you put a like on this video. Also, subscribe, please. It costs absolutely $0.00 and really helps us a lot. How do your expectations affect the actual list that you're going to be putting down on the board? The answer is, holy shit, a lot. So you have to bring a list that you know what it is. Let's talk about the meta list. And when we bring out a meta list, what do we think? We think Eldar. So.
Well, this is the best place to give a good example of how all 3 types of these things you can see very clearly in people's lists of what they're doing. So if we look at just, hey, what is the Eldar list?
Ooh,
Okay.
pause on this. We got a super chat coming up.
Oh,
Keith Murray, $5
yes.
super chat. Happy New Year. You guys helped me get my first wins in 10th with Krons. Any chance of an updated deal with it? Wishing you both all the best in 2024. Yes, actually, I want to. This is one of the things we're talking about. We're going to put out a Necrons deal with it. We're debating on whether we have to wait for the data slate.
Data slate. Yeah, because that's going to be a big deal. Obviously, if we go into a huge depth on it, and then the game wildly swings in another direction, all that advice is kind of useless. It's kind of like when I had to do like 3 Marine videos on Dice with Rice because the data slate happened and the codex happened. So give us a little bit. That's amazing that you're finding some wins after watching some of our videos and actually listening to us. That's awesome. We want more of that, and please let us know in the comments if we're helping you too. And stay tuned for more like really deep Necron content after we get this data slate to change the game.
So the thing is we're going to do 2 Eldar lists in a row, and we're going to talk about the meta list and the meta plus list. So when you're looking at Arn's list, and Arn's really good, but it's effectively the Euro list that they brought. It's Wraithguard, Night Spinners, the Incarn, and Fugan. In every single list has an Autarch Wayleaper because he's broken with the fact that he generates a CP, can't be targeted because he's blown up. And oh yeah, he just comes back if you kill him. So he's still generating CP. Deal with it, move on with your life. There it is. And it's a big thing. So this list right here is kind of standard on what they want to do. It's got a couple units that are effectively just there to do shenanigan Karn things and to score points. And then you go to the meta list, which you won a Warzone Atlanta with, which I think is pretty boss mode. You know what I mean? But the thing is it's got a lot of the same things that you had from before. The Autarch, but he literally style pointed in with triple Fire Dragons with triple Falcons, looking for the full rerolls. And I love that right now the Eldar Codex is so deep that full rerolls to wound hitting on 2s is just doesn't make it into most people's lists. So
kind of wild, huh? But you can really see with this list. If you're always just like, hey, if you're internet keyboard warrioring it and you're like, Night Spinners are the worst, you'd be like, well, this guy didn't take any Night Spinners and he won a whole tournament.
Yeah. But he's got
how do you do that?
He's got the support batteries. He's got a couple forward deployers. He's got a lot of forward deployers, to be honest with you.
Yes, he does have a ton.
But this is like literally trying to prey on some of the other top medalists, to be honest with you. He's trying to pick up some tanks. He's looking to take the board, and he's looking to bomb away with all the support cannons, things that get anywhere near him. So he was literally looking at what he felt was going to be in the meta, because it was really at the time it was wildly represented too, what you were seeing, and went, what do I need to kill those things? Like the Solitaire does mad work against Eldar, by the way. It also did mad work against Chaos if you're playing the Chaos army that was there. So there was a lot of things in here. Now this could almost be fun and value. It's just he did so well with it, you know what I mean? But he had counters in here, which is fantastic. Oh, Austin, I just went off about this. He goes, if I could take commandos in 5s, don't get me started. Yeah. I got so angry about that.
Yeah, I there are some different things I wish they would change with the unit sizes that would fix things, but I think for the most part they're going to stick with what we've already seen in some of our data slate videos. But yeah, I think this is a good example of Meta Plus, as this is somebody who is taking the core things that make Eldar good, keeping them, and then introducing their entirely own unique spin on it. Like, this is so different, where if you have just played 30 games against basic meta Eldar, you run into this and go, hold the phone, what do I even do here? And if you don't have good fundamentals, you are just going to get fire dragoned, and it's going to be bad.
What's that? You're like, hey, let's talk about a fun and value list. Which, if you look in the description, Sean has put me as last place in this week's tournament, which I'm going to take this specific list to the Glass City GT and hope for the best. Because I took one of every Phoenix Lord and one of every Aspect Warrior, and then some Wraith constructs, right? Two Wraith Lords and a Wraith Seer. And the Wraith Seer, my favorite thing about the Wraith Seer is it looks cool. You know why I wanted a Wraith Seer? The cool. That's it. Because his attacks are actually worse than the Wraith Lord's attacks.
For the same points. So
Exactly.
that is why Brad wins the title of first in our hearts, last on the table, and that's just where he sits with this list. But Brad, tell us, is there any other reasons that you came to this list other than just you wanted to look like this?
Lyle bullied me. He said he would buy me lunch if I brought a specific list. He saw an English version of this, which was actually better than this. But the thing is that I haven't played Eldar. Well, I played Eldar the opening day and then never played it again in 10th. And it's my favorite faction. And I wanted to put some stuff on the board that felt Eldar-esque. Morgan Ra's got a super sick model. Kayron is one of my favorites, probably my favorite Phoenix Lord. Jane Czar and Howling Banshees are one of my favorite units to put on the board, and they look cool as shit. And they're terrible. So are Dark Reapers because they're paying for the sins of their fathers. But I wanted to play some shit that I felt played fun Eldar. I wanted to take all the fun characters and I wanted to make it a meme and share it with the community. And this is what gives me joy, just being able to talk nonsense and play with fun, goofy shit. Is this going to beat the top list? Holy shit, no. But
Brad says that. However, if you run into Brad at Glass City and he is playing this list, no, you are in for the hardest match against the worst list you could possibly play today. He is going to do things that are going to blow your mind because he is going to be at peak Brad level, which is all my units are terrible and I'm going to do completely wild things with them. And every time you think he's going to do something, he's going to do something just a little bit different. It's going to drive you nuts. So he's not going to be a free win, but if you stick to your guns and play well,
there's still shit in here. There's a lot of 2-up saves here.
There's a ton of shenanigans.
Still bright lances. There's still -1 to wound avatar mojo going on. So like it's trash, but it's not trash that doesn't have play. You know what I mean? And that's actually what I think a fun and value list should look like, be honest with you, is something that isn't probably going to, it's not going to make you 6-0, but man, is it going to have a fun time playing 6 games? Yes. And I got more excited about playing this than I have a lot of other things because I know it's going to be a difficult ride. The only thing that I've had more fun playing and talking about than this is playing Orks. So,
you bring up a good point, and if you hit that next slide, you'll kind of see the basics of what each kind of list has just to be able to play the game, which is, hey, if you're playing an Eldar army, you probably have great characters. You probably are abusing good Fate Dice rules. And you're probably using your free Eldar rerolls on units that could really use them. And with the downside of Brad's list, just having Aspect Warriors, which are just like extra wounds on some okay characters, they're pretty much all doing the same things. They're all taking great characters. They're all using Fate Die. They're all using rerolls. And this is where you need to take a moment and, step back. If you're someone who's like feeling like you don't really fit into any of these categories, is your Eldar list not doing some of these things? Because this is another example of you use the tools you're given. You don't try to make, sorry, I've got Mean Girls going on in my head when I say that. You don't try to make fetch a thing, you don't try to make like your own wacky, crazy thing that doesn't use any of these work. You're just going to have a bad time, and that's not your fault. This is a game. It is designed.
Fucking God. Lyle with the $2 super chat. Where's Azerman, you coward? He's trash.
I already tried. I already tried that, Lyle. I wanted Azerman.
He did. He wanted Azerman, but I've kind of always hated Azerman, and I still do. I don't know why I have an irrational hatred of Azerman.
He's got such a big hat, though.
I mean, he thinks he's such a big deal because we all know that the bigger the hat is, the more important you are in Eldar.
Exactly. So yeah, that's where you want to be. You want to take a step back, and I do kind of wrap this up nicely and give you a catchphrase. Remember it. You have to use the tools you're given. You do not necessarily have to take the meta list exactly as it stands, but you should probably be looking at what other people are doing and saying, hey, they're kind of all doing something like this. Maybe I can make something like that that's not exactly the same as that. But same thing. If you look, I believe every one of these lists has a way to abuse bright lances. It has great characters in Farseers and Avatars, Autarks. So if you're not including some of those in your Eldar list, take a step back. Try throwing some in. See how they feel. See how they change your list.
Lyle coming back with the $2 super chat. Is Azerman your Kurbulu? By the way, he went on, it was joyous. Lyle went on a hate-fueled rant about Kurbulu. It was magical. Not as bad as that, but he's annoying. I mean, I could lose the Wraiths here and bring Azerman, to be honest with you. And I might be bullied into doing that. I do have till Friday. Let's go into meta lists, an Orc meta list. Now, you put this as the meta list, but this does has Gaz in it. So, like, anytime you're putting Gaz, it is some style points.
It is, and this is, if you don't know Tyler Russo, he's $1 Billion Clown Farm. He likes to give lots of Orc rundowns. And I think for the most part, this is where Orc lists are going to gravitate to for just meta lists, because it's really hard to be an Orc player and not put Gaz in your list, as we will see in the next list as well.
Whoa. No Gaz on the board for the Brad.
He's too many points.
He's too many points.
He's too many points. That's Brad's weakness, his kryptonite.
It hurts me to put Maz in there. But does. He gets in there because he's just under 200.
That's Brad's limit. But yeah, if you see this kind of list, this is where you're going to go. You're going to take, Gaz, Mazrak, great characters, Knob on Smash the Squigs for value to go with all those 15 Squighog boys. You got dudes and trucks of Power Claws, and then you got some Storm boys to score some points. And
3 times 10 Gretchen. I love it. Gretchen also get you CP, and the thing is the Knob on Smash the Squig with the head wappas kill Choppa. Dude, that guy is a menace to society with doing mortals on 3s on against vehicles and monsters on the Wog turn. Whoo! That guy is hot fire. But yeah, this is a great org list. It's fantastic. I need more trash, of course. So, but let's counter this with Sean's list, which he took to Everwinter and decided that tiebreakers, as usual for me, I haven't won a single one this year. I haven't. I have lost.
That's true.
I have every tournament I went to that went more than one person went undefeated. I lost the tiebreakers.
Yeah. So Everwinter, I think there are a few undefeateds at that, right?
3 of us. Sam Pope, Sean, and I.
There you go. So this is where Sean Naden came on top, and in true fashion, as Brad mentioned earlier, he just takes what he loves. My favorite quote from him on this was, "I played fixed secondaries because I didn't own the card deck," which really speaks to his mindset when going into these. He's got his list, models that he loves, doing what he loves, doesn't care about the rest. He's just going to play good 40k. He's going to know exactly what his stuff does. And if you look at this, he's got some very niche choices. The Knob with Wah banner, the Battle Wagon with Ard Case, a 20 stack
boys that he puts the
that's
banner
not Beastnagas. That's not Beastnagas. That's just boys. So when you take a look at this list and you go, what do I even do? This kind of looks like the Orc list I'm used to playing, but not really. Well, Sean knows exactly what he wants to do with it. And when he steps up to the table, he is not thinking about any of those other things other than, hey, I know what my army does. I have an idea of what your army does. And I'm just going to look at the mission and make the best choices. And that's this right here to me embodies exactly Meta Plus, which is
it's huge.
Got some good units.
Because Austin makes a good point on this, because he goes, the only bad unit here is the wagon. And the lethal hits double Wog unit combo is pretty nuts, because he doesn't have to pop the Wog early. And he can go after people, and you're just going, hey, take 1,000 saves. The AP1, yeah, but they're also 1 billion saves, so figure it out.
Tried saves. It's a tried and true strategy. Now, at the same time here, before we move on to it, I do want to say, obviously, even with this Meta Plus list, something very different. He's still taking Mazrak. He's still taking War Bosses with Power Claws. He's still taking trucks. He's still taking knobs with Power Claws. And some scoring units with Gretchen and Warbikers. These are the things where even if you are custom tailoring your list to exactly what you want, you got to play the tools you're given. You got to take what does what it does.
I mean, you see between the two, we still have the Gretchen units. We still have the knob units. You know what I mean? We still have trucks. You have a lot of the same key elements in here. So it's a big deal in that. And if you don't have the same exact units, also you look at a lot of these things have the same battlefield role, and that's a big deal too. Okay, what is he trying to do with this? Oh, it's the same thing as Tyler was trying to do with the six mans. Or with the Squig Riders. So, these are the same role that they're supposed to be things that reach out and touch somebody. This is supposed to be a counter hit unit. You have to know what your army's supposed to do, each unit, and when you're making your Meta Plus, you know what I mean? He's got a bunch of great units in Orks that are fantastic.
Indeed. And then in the fun and value category, if you remember our Orc video
Tarzan
from
just
a while ago.
losing his mind with this, and it's hilarious.
Oh yeah, this is great on every front.
And he still has a lot of the key elements in here. Again, he's also got a bunch of squigogs, but man, he took grot tanks, yes. So, and you have to set this shit up wildly different. You know what I mean? This is a wildly shooting army. 10 flash kits with Badrock. You've got 12 grot tanks coming in from all over the place. You got the weird boy bouncing around. You got a pain boy hanging out with dudes trying to bring people back. You've still got Maz smashing people. You've still got the Naaman smash escape with the head wappa. So he's got a lot of those key elements, but he's also playing a wildly more shooting army than normally you'd see in an Orcs.
And the thing about it is, if you haven't played against grot tanks, they are kind of like that lottery machine. You just pull the lever, and sometimes they kill things they have no business ever killing, and other times they get 4 shots and do nothing. And
they also, they're also annoying. They have a fallback.
They do have a fallback, but most importantly for his list, they are OC2 apiece. And if you've ever tried to deal with all of them in one place, well, it's just kind of a pain because they do actually have a good save, they are easy to get cover with, and they can physically block you off an objective. Very powerful and unique things that you could be doing. You see the weird boy with the super cyborg body just to teleport around and do secondaries. You still got Badrock and Flash Gits. You've got Mazrog. I know Austin was talking about commandos. Tarzan's using Snickrot in place of those as just this unit to say, oh, are you going to try to prevent me from going away? Well, I got first drop. Here's Snickrot. You can't do that. And sometimes that's all you need for cheeky little fun plays to make.
Cheeky little fun. And when you're looking at this, let's look at the things that each one includes. And the thing is that, again, you see a lot of common threads in these. While they have specific things that make them the meta list, the meta plus list, the fun and value list, but they all have threats. They all have utility pieces. They all have things to score, no matter what you're taking. Because I think a lot of times people skip. They're like, I just want to play just fun, or I want to play just meta. And you have to look at, no matter how meta you're playing or how off meta you think you're playing, you have to have the checklist things that we talk about all the time. Do I have enough damage? Do I have enough scoring? Do I have enough trash? Do I have enough basically things that I need to play the game? And all of those armies have damage, they have play, and then they put in a little love, a little magic on all of them.
Exactly, and this is the biggest moment when you are playing 40k and learning 40k, learning how to make your list your own while still including things that will keep it in contention is one of the greatest skills you can possibly learn when list building. Because it doesn't matter how great your idea is if you're completely missing the mark on what actually is the lifeblood of the army. For Orcs, as you can see here, heads up, if you don't have transports and power claws in your Orc army, probably with some squig hogs and characters that are awesome, you're probably not going to be doing a whole lot at some point in the game. There's a reason that those things are there, and again, it's dealing with the tools that you have, not the tools that you can just pick out of thin air. Even Tarzan, with his a bazillion grot tanks, is still taking squig hogs and powerful characters to supplement them. And you can really look to do that. You can look to say, hey, I want to take 12 grot tanks. How do I do that? Well, this is how you do it. If you've ever looked at a pair of units and thought, these are awesome, I want to paint these, I want to put them on the table, how do I do it without just losing? You look for the key things that make your faction good, you start them slotted in the list, then you put in your Orc Stompa, your 12 grot tanks, your every Phoenix Lord and a bunch of ablative wounds. That's how you do it.
It's a big deal in this, and I like one of the things on the takeaways here is don't reinvent the wheel. Look at, and the thing is, we're still playing Index Hammer with most of the factions right now, so you have to look at, you can only be as much of a special snowflake as you can, because some armies don't have enough data sheets to even bother with that. So work with what you have. You know what I mean? Make it the best army for you. And that's a big deal on that too, is I know that it looks like sometimes your army looks a lot like other people's armies, but we can't do anything about that right now because the units only come in two sizes most of the time. So, and or one. And then they all weapons are their weapons, you know what I mean? So sometimes you're just going to look like other people's armies on that. And you have to look for what is the best army for you out of that army. Play with the shit that gives you the most joy, and also the combo you're looking for is that sweet spot between gives me the most joy and gives me the best chance to win. And that is where you want to play. What makes you have fun when you're playing it? That's what you want to play. Play the thing that's the best at making you happy and giving you the best chance. Uh-oh, Brad's going to say his usual thing. Give yourself the opportunity to have an opportunity to win and have fun. Put that right next to the just hang on with your cat poster. It's a big deal.
I actually want to see that now. I want somebody to send us a picture of just a picture of Brad with those words on their wall. That's what I want now.
Carmona, you're not wrong on that. He goes, I feel like GW is not so slowly pushing players into buying third party. Yeah, to be honest with you, I like uniqueness. I'm a huge fan of conversions because I can't see colors for shit. So I really like when we say the fun and value, like I like seeing Sean's list because it had like a ton of conversions in it and he painted it super well. And I like other people's just taking the time to do different things. Josh Minnick, he had his chaos all like literally tuned up with all kinds of AOS bits and other things. Like everything was converted, and I just like that kind of shit, to be honest with you. That brings me joy seeing that because I can't judge your paint because I can't see your paint. But it's a big deal on this. You're like waiting on the second Sagittar. Yeah, there's certain things that if they don't sell you stuff, guys, you know, people are pretty lax about that, to be perfectly honest with you. Third party stuff or make 3D printer go burr. That's a big deal on that. But for instance, we're talking about what we're going to bring to LVO right now. Both Sean and I are hoping to do our best at LVO, but we also want to take something that's going to make us have fun, because I got to figure that if I win LVO, I have to play 10 games of 40K. I don't want to play 10 games of something I don't have fun playing. That seems awful. So you really, really need to figure out what is the most enjoyable thing. But well, again, you have to go in, what is my expectations when I'm going into here? Am I looking to win the whole tournament? Am I looking to have fun with my friends? Am I looking to be somewhere in between? And a lot of times somewhere in between is where most of us are going to land. We're going to land at I had a good tournament. I won a decent amount of games. I had a great time. I enjoyed what I was playing. I had drinks with my friends and we hung out. That's a great tournament right there, man. And Brad judging pain is a show I would binge watch. So it's a big deal on that to understand what you're trying to do, what your expectations are. You'll have more fun, but you'll also prepare better. I really think that if you're playing something that you love, you're just going to do better. Even if it's a slight tweak. I mean, literally playing your favorite faction, even if it's the meta faction, and playing shit that you like inside that faction, you're going to do better in that because you're going to want to play more and you're going to get more experience in it. You're going to be a master with those particular units. Love it.
Hard to agree on everything.
Let's talk about coaching classes are starting soon. 2 classes a month. Available on demand afterwards, everyone. We're going to be putting up 2 classes online that you can join in, and then we will have them on demand afterwards. And we're, as usual, doing individual coaching. I do it all the time. We are reaching out currently to Dice with Rice and Mice. at gmail.com. Subject line 40K coaching. Or it can be weird stuff, but then you have to send it to my email because I want all the oddball emails.
Yeah, Brad loves getting those crazy subject lines, and that's why I put that in there just for him.
Always. Oh, so much always. And the thing about this is, everyone, is this is like near and dear to me because I feel that a lot of people aren't trying, they're disappointed with their tournament. And you're not getting enough out of your tournament because you're not setting realistic expectation, but you're also not giving yourself the tools to have the best time, the best performance, the best whatever. You have to play something you like, man. And I know I'm beating a dead horse with that, but like, you're just going to practice more and you're going to practice better and you're going to play on the board better. Again, if I win the tournament, I have to win 10 games. I just don't want to play 10 games of something I don't like playing. I don't care how fucking powerful it is. I'm sorry, but I just don't. I would rather play something way less powerful that's fun and gives me at least a chance to win than even we'll talk about Eldar on that. I'm just not taking Eldar to LVO because I just don't think the top Eldar list plays like Eldar. If you're looking to do that, I'd rather play something else that gives me a chance to win the tournament and also this big desert talk, but it gives me a good chance to win the tournament, but also enjoy my tournament. Nobody wants to play 10 games of 40K and be like, well, that sucked. And also it can't, your tournament can't be, I have to win this tournament or the tournament was a failure. I'm sorry, that is just not the mindset. I'm not trying to lose, but I'm also not bummed. My tournament weekend will not be ruined by losing a game. You know what I mean? I am going to have a fantastic time no matter what happens. There you go. I cannot be stopped from having a good time.
Yeah, and I'm going to be exactly the same way. There's no way that I'm going to be flying out to Vegas, hanging out, seeing everybody playing potentially 10 games of Warhammer and just being miserable the entire time. Like, if you think about that, that's 30 hours potentially of Warhammer. 30 hours to be miserable? Who pays to do that? Yeah.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna be finding something fantastic that I enjoy. If you watch what lists I end up taking, sometimes it's triple whirlwinds, sometimes it's 13 armigers, not even chaos armigers. Other times it's 60 flayed ones. So I will always find something unique and good that I would enjoy.
I might roll the dice. I might spin a wheel to see what I play at LVO. And I might just sit with Carmona and just play his list and then just tell everybody it was mine all along.
That also sounds likely.
Lyle is fine with the super chat. Brad, I sent you a Discord message you need to open on stream. Hold on, sir. I have to get Discord going up. You know what, Lyle? You are correct, sir. I am going to immediately download this. Give me just a moment, everyone. This is going up immediately. Tig, hold please, because this makes me happy. I'm now joyous. I will even title it Opportunity. Nothing to see here. You're gonna have Sean talk for a bit because I need to find this in downloads.
Oh yeah, this is how it goes. And if you want to, if you want to see the same place that Lyle's posting these things, you can also check out the video description and join the Death or Glory Discord. Now, Brad and I are on there infrequently, but if you tag us, you can certainly get our attention. And other than that, it's a great place to find people to trade with, find people to talk 40K with, and a good way to get our attention and be prepared for our coaching classes that we're going to do. Really, there's just a really good community around basically everything you can think of in the Death of Glory Discord, including painting. We have some, if you didn't know, we have the hobby champ from last year.
We're going to have both. I think we're going to have one and
right.
two. Yeah.
We do have one and two.
Yeah, we have Mike and Matt.
Sorry, Mike. Sorry, Mike. We talked to Tampa, and his guard arm is amazing. But yeah, so anything that we're talking about here with Expectations, you actually can find people that are very experienced to talk about it with.
This is making me joyously happy. I had something else to say, but I don't anymore because of the fact that Lyle's broke my brain. Give yourself an opportunity to have an opportunity. And on that, Queens wave, everyone, and we will see you soon.